Hi guys, this is gsnhome.com and I'm here with the Motorola Moto X4 for a full review. I know we have reviewed a ton of Motorola phones, the Motorola Moto Z2 Play, Motorola Moto E phones, Moto G phones, the Moto M, and here we are with an Motorola Moto X4. One of the very few dual camera phones from Moto, and also one of the very few to have a glass body like this. Certainly a good looker with a trademark ring around the camera. So dual camera Midranger, launched in the fall of 2017. It's a glass phone, it's a mid-range phone, and the price tag right now is $349. It's been reduced from $399. It's certainly a looker, as you can see in our 4K review here. Now we're dealing here with a device which in USA comes with Android One on board and also with Amazon Alexa. We don't exactly have the Android One version, we have the regular version in Europe. Now as far as the design is concerned, it's all glass. You can see the glass at the front, very reflective, the glass at the back, and luckily we have the blue version, not the black one, and I'm frankly loving this. Reminds me of the Huawei Honor 9 quite a bit, and also reminds me of the Zenfone 4 a bit, but that one has a different camera setup. IP68 resilient from what I've heard, supposed to be resilient to water and dust. It's got Gorilla Glass protection at the front and also at the back side, and it's got a solid aluminum frame here. The buttons are pretty comfy, I would say, even though the volume ones are a bit small. The phone is available in black and blue. It's got a pretty small 5.2 inch screen. Nowadays every phone is around 6 inch. It measures 7.99 millimeters in thickness, but with the camera jumps to 9.45 millimeters. Weighs 163 grams, and if you want a comparison with the Huawei Honor 9, that one is 7.5 millimeter, 155 grams, so it's a bit heavier and thicker. It's premium looking for sure with the glass and metal, but for a 5.2 incher it's a bit wide, so one-hand usage may not be the comfiest in the world. Okay, so there's that. What I'm loving about it is the trademark ring around the camera. The ring has some lines which have a nifty way of catching light. You can see those lines here. It's as if they were scratched within the ring. Okay, beefy phone, but premium phone, and also white phone. Now on the display front, this is a 5.2 inch IPS LCD LTPS Full HD. I know it's a mouthful. It's got pretty big bezels for 2018 and for 2017 anyways, and Full HD, as I said before, with Gorilla Glass protection. Now I'm going to have to put to the test the quality of the screen, and you can either go with your typical Photos app or you can go with the MX Player. I'm going to go standard here. Here we go, typical test video, and we can draw some conclusions. What I hate about the video playback is that you have black edges all around the image. You can see them clearly. I'm not a big fan of that. Pretty big bezels, but also vivid colors, okay brightness, okay contrast, and wide view angles. We put the screen under the microscope. This is the pixel arrangement, RGB stripes, and then we measure the brightness, achieving a top level of 423 lux units, which is okay for a mid-ranger, and it beats the LG G5 and the Motorola Moto G5 Plus. Okay, so as far as the brightness is concerned, as I said before, it's 423 lux units, which is below the Bluebo S1 and the Xiaomi Mi A1, also the Nokia 5. I would say it's an okay brightness, although I maybe wanted more. Nowadays 423 isn't enough anymore, but it's good. Okay, so we go here and we see what options we have for the display. We got brightness level, adaptive brightness, and color mode. You can choose between a warmer or cooler color. There's also standard or vibrant. Pick one for your experience with the phone screen. And finally, things like sleep, device rotation, phone size, and display size are typical for an Android phone nowadays. Now, if you want more things, if you want to get into detail about the hardware, we're dealing here with a phone that relies on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 630 CPU, and this CPU is familiar because it's an octa-core one. We've seen it on the Asus Zenfone 5 Lite, Nokia 6 2018, and a few more phones. So it has the Adreno 508 GPU, and interestingly there are 3 versions of RAM for the phone. You can go with 3 GB of RAM, 4 GB of RAM, or even 6 GB of RAM in some parts of the world. Now we have the 4 GB RAM version with 64 GB of storage, of which 17.34 are being used and the rest are free for the user. Okay, so performance is in general okay. As usual, Motorola phones have that stock software, pretty clean and no problem whatsoever, so no stuttering, no lag, nothing. On the gaming front, you can go with Riptide GP Renegade, or you can play the brand new Dead Rivals from Gameloft. I actually played it. It's an MMORPG It takes up 1 GB of space, it's graphically intensive but runs fine and without overheating on the Moto X4. Quick race, and here we go. Okay, waiting for it to load. Fast loading, you can already tell from the loading this is going to be something special. You can see some drones. Nice frame rate, good looking graphics so far. Still hating that black edge around the image. Nice water splash, loving the texture, colors, lighting, and so far everything is picture perfect. Now we cannot talk about the performance without also addressing the benchmarks. I'm going to have to go here and find the screenshots. So we did the usual Antutu, Geekbench, 3D Mark, you know the drill, and as usual I'm going to have a hard time finding them because as you can see we took a mountain of screenshots. So let me just spoil it for you. Basically in Antutu 6 we're able to beat the Sony Xperia XA1 and the Huawei P10 Lite but scored below the Xperia XA2 and the Motorola Moto Z Play. In Antutu 7 we also did that. In Antutu 7 we beat the Nokia 6 but scored below HTC U11 Live, and in Geekbench 4, easy to find, in the multi-core test we managed to beat the Zenfone 4 and LG G6, which is quite an excellent feature, but scored below the Xiaomi Mi A1 and the Galaxy A8 2018. Now we also did 3D Mark, you know, graphics, slingshot and so forth, and in the slingshot 3.0 test we beat the LG V10 and the Xperia XA2 Ultra but scored below the LG Nexus 5X and the OnePlus 2, so not that impressive in the GPU department. Basically the idea is that this phone is, benchmark wise and performance wise, somewhere between the Sony Xperia XA1 and the XA2, and in some tests even beats the Asus Zenfone 4. Now when it comes to the temperature test, we achieved 33.9 degrees Celsius after playing the benchmark GFX bench after running it, so 33.9 means there is no overheating, and after running the game you saw before, Riptide, we achieved 35.9 degrees Celsius, so once again no overheating here. On the battery front, the Motorola Moto X4 has a 3000 mAh battery, supposed to offer an all-day battery and also bundled with a 15 watt turbo power charger. Now let's see how it did in our typical tests. So here we go. I'm going to go here, go to screenshots and try to find the results we were able to achieve. Okay, so we achieved a continuous HD video playback time of 10 hours and 6 minutes. That's how much we achieved with this phone. That's how much we measured at least. So should be about 10 hours and 6 minutes of continuous HD video playback, which is just okay. It's not mind-blowing. I've seen phones going as high as 15 hours. At least it beats the LG G5, the Huawei Mate 8, and the Nokia 6, but scores below the Nokia 5, Motorola Moto Z, and Motorola Z2 Play. The other test is PC Mark, the continuous usage one. This is actually a pretty good result, 9 hours and 1 minute. It's above the Asus Zenfone 3, Samsung Galaxy A3 2016 and the Huawei P9 Lite 2017. At the same time, it manages to score below the Sony Xperia X Compact, the Asus Zenfone 4 and the Galaxy A5 2017. Now the charging is a whole different beast. Okay, so this crazy phone is able to charge in just 1 hour and 33 minutes, which is excellent in my view. No matter which phone you're testing or playing with, 1 hour and 33 minutes is perfect in my book. It actually placed on the 22nd spot of all-time great chargers. It beats the Galaxy S8 and the Motorola Moto Z2 Play, but scores below the LG G5 and OnePlus 3, which were also excellent chargers. Now, if you're wondering about other things, well, learn that in 5 minutes of charging you get to 6%, after 15 minutes of charging you get to 22%, and after 30 minutes of charging you get to 52%. 1 hour equals 89%, which is excellent. And if you want to talk about other battery options, we have them here for you. So there is the typical battery saver, which reduces performance, vibration, location services and so forth. There is adaptive brightness, there is a sleep mode and battery optimization. So in a nutshell, it's a pretty good battery for a mid-ranger, but we maybe wanted a bit more video playback time, if possible. If not, maybe on the Moto X5. On the acoustic front, no speaker here, no speaker here, no speaker here. So obviously we got the earpiece serving that exact purpose. I'm going to have to use Google Play Music, which has a pretty atypical equalizer. So Google Play Music is in the house, settings, equalizer. Got this one here looking pretty premium and unusual for play music. You can set it to extreme bass, bass punch, balance, brilliant, treble, vocalizer or off, and that's pretty much it. No other extras, no extra kicks. Usually we actually got more options to toy with. Anyways, let's listen to some music we have on this phone. So here we go. Okay, so conclusions. I would have to say that I'm happy with the fact there's no vibration of the back side of the phone. I would say the volume is quite okay, quite high, the bass is deep, and of course you cannot cover the speaker with your hand in landscape, which is a nice thing. We have a good guitar rendering, and overall it's a pretty okay experience. It does not blow me away, but still it's pretty good. Now, we also did tests with a decibel meter. This is the decider, and sadly the results were not exactly impressive. So 79.6 decibels. This is a result we achieve at the top of the phone, not very impressive, and when the phone is facing down it's as low as 64.5 decibels. The previous result beats the iPhone 7 and Huawei Mate 9 Pro. When measured at the top, keep that in mind, when measured at the top, not the bottom, we score below the Motorola Moto Z2 Play and Huawei Mate 9. At least we sat better in the multimedia test, the one with the game Riptide, 92.6 decibels. This is able to beat the Motorola Moto Z2 Play, Huawei P10 Lite, but scores below the Xiaomi Mi 6 and the Motorola Moto G5 Plus. In the mix here, we also have FM radio, which should be here somewhere. So yes, FM radio is here. Okay, and we also have headphones. You saw them in the unboxing and they're back with a vengeance. So here they are. They have a flat wire, which is supposed to tangle harder than the usual cable, and I can confirm that. We have these little plastic thingies with a rubber tip to insert in the ear. I have to say they're pretty comfy, reasonably loud, mediocre bass, and high volume. They're a bit sporty, I would say, sporty elegant, small remote, so overall just okay, not mind-blowing, just like the acoustics. On the camera front, time to talk about the camera because there's a lot to say. Dual back camera with a dual tone flash and a beautiful ring around it. So this is a combo of 12 megapixel and 8 megapixel sensor. The main one is the 12 megapixel sensor with dual autofocus pixels, f2.0 aperture, 1.4 micron pixels, dual tone flash as I said before, and the other camera from the dual setup, 8 megapixel, ultra wide, 120 degrees, similar to what we saw on the LG G6. Now for selfies, we have something special here. We have a 16 megapixel shooter with its own LED flash, and that's nice. And let's see what else. Face detection autofocus, and there's no optical image stabilization in case you're wondering. As you can see, you can swap between lenses, wide angle and regular view. The wide angle is a bit curvy, it curves the image a little bit, but catches more area. Options include auto and manual. Manual lets you tweak white balance, exposure, shutter, ISO and focus. You can also go with auto, as I said before, and these are the main capture modes. Some of them are quite interesting and original. So we got portrait, which is bokeh. We got cutout, so you can basically take a photo and put a black background around it. It's similar to what Apple offer on the iPhone 10. You'll see it in a minute. So take a photo of a person and make the background black. Spot color, you can pick one single color from here, so I can keep the reds and make everything else black and white. So how cool is that? Reset everything, keep the greens. That's about it. That's the spot color. It's a gimmick, but it's fun. Panorama text scanner, and also face filters, slow motion, and a bunch of options here. Now the camera itself, let's see how it behaves. So photo taking, reasonably fast. The zoom is a bit sluggish. Focusing is okay in my book. Speed wise, we also have the exposure slider here, and once again you can alternate between cameras. Okay, this is done. Let's go to the gallery and see how the phone has behaved during our pictures. So here we go, it's time to have a glance at the gallery, and rest assured we've taken a lot of photos as we usually do for our reviews here at gsmdome.com. So we have here some daytime shots, of course, plus low light captures. I'm going to start with the daytime ones, and I have to say it was a very sunny day, and I would have to say that it was almost 30 degrees Celsius, and you can see here already a difference between the regular shot and the wide angle shot. This one is more fisheye style. As you can see, the image is a bit more curved. So we have very solid close-ups of flowers with a lot of details, and in general details were excellent. I'm also happy with the color calibration, unless there's a lot of sun coming in, and it seems that the regular camera calibrates colors more properly than the wide angle one, which may be prone to some deformation on account of the sun. Now this is a regular shot and this is an HDR shot. You can tell the difference, and the dynamic range setup is quite well done in that pic. Once again, some samples with excellent details on both cameras. We took photos of the church, and you can zoom in all you want. You'll be happy with the details. I also tried out that mode you saw before, the one that lets you make the background black in order to highlight the subject. It's quite well done. It does not cover the subject too much, so it resembles the iPhone X one just a little bit. Now the selfies were a bit of a mixed bag. I'm happy with the way the background looks, and the skin is okay. Also the details and clarity and skin color are okay, but when you start to zoom in, even at the first zoom, you'll see that the clarity of my face isn't exactly perfect as you want it, unlike such close-ups, which are fantastic, to be honest. So basically, if you're going for close-ups that are Instagram worthy, this is the phone to have. Now we also have the portrait effect, the bokeh one. You can see it signaled here, and you can also do some editing. There's portrait editor with selective focus and selective black and white, so you can only keep this color or this color. So that's funky. I just turned a yellow flower into a white one. How cool is that? You can also refocus after the fact with selective focus. You can increase or decrease the blur as you please. About the blur, so the bokeh capture is a bit intrusive. As you see, it enters the edges of the flower, so not as precise as we've seen on other phones, sadly. Once again, I'm very happy with the clarity and the quality of the shots, with the colors, with the dynamic range, exposure, what have you. So the selfies and the bokeh were the only ones a bit underwhelming, and also the way the wide angle shots tended to burn the captures a little bit. So these selfies are taken without the glasses this time, and still I wanted a bit extra clarity here. I wouldn't say they're not good, but I feel that some other phones out there can do a bit better, especially the Sonys, for example. Speaking of Sonys, the overall experience, I would put this on par with maybe the Sony Xperia XA2 Ultra, which is not that bad, and also I would have to say that it's very close to the Samsung Galaxy A8 2018 and the Xperia XA2. The clarity was perfect. It feels like a combo of the LG G6 and the Samsung Galaxy A8 2018. And more shots here, quite impressive. You'll have a full gallery of them once the text review is done. So if you're going for clarity, brightness and colors, you'll be happy, but stick to the regular lens. Don't overuse the wide angle one. I wasn't exactly happy with it, and frankly speaking, I could have lived without it perfectly. The panorama resolution is 8336 over 944 pixels, and here we played with a spot color. You can see some of the colors are lacking, others are present. This is a gimmick, but some people may grow to love it. So things to remember: combo of LG G6 and Galaxy A8 2018. That's the vibe I'm getting here, and pretty poor bokeh and not that impressive selfies. This is the daytime capture, so let's go to the low light capture. Surprise, surprise, things are actually bright and clear. I have to admit, wasn't expecting this, and you can already tell the difference between regular shot and wide angle shot. This is much more orange, reddish, and with a stranger yellow. So if you stick to a regular camera, once again you'll be happy with the clarity, the lighting, but the halos of the street lights are a bit on the big side. Okay, good details again during the night time. Some lamps create weird lights. The zoom is a bit unimpressive, and the level of yellow is okay outside of the wide angle shots. I have to admit I'm pretty impressed by this one. It may just be the best Motorola mid-range phone I've tested over the past years. There were moments when I felt it was superior to the Motorola Moto Z Play or even the Z2 Play. It fights in the same arena of the Asus Zenfone 4, maybe even above it. In low light, it feels like it beats the Zenfone 4. It clearly beats all the Huawei P-Lite and Mate Lite phones. And it's got a pretty okay flash, although once you turn on the flash, every once in a while, you'll feel a bit of grain appearing in the photos that have the flash on. So in general, pleasant surprise overall, and the best mid-range Motorola phone camera. Now on the video front, we're dealing with MP4, Full HD, 30 frames per second, 17 mega per second. Of course, we also have 4K, but let's take it one video at a time. So first, this one, I know it's a bit burned. The sun was very strong, I told you before, almost 30 degrees Celsius, dangerously close to summer. Pretty good quality, excellent microphone, we actually captured a lot of the ambience. Music, people chatting, what have you. I would say the colors are okay, but this image is severely burnt, as you can see. Clarity was nice in general. And I have here a video with some very natural exposure change. Here we go. There will be a moment when we're passing from shade to sun and the exposure change in a natural way, without steps, without a sudden change. So that's nice. I was actually shocked by how good the zoom is. When we did a similar thing in the photos, the details decreased a lot, but here it's quite nice. Good clarity, nice panning, nice stabilization overall. And speaking of stabilization, let's actually go to it. There's no OIS. We're dealing with electronic image stabilization. So let's move around a bit. First of all, here's a 4K sample. Absolutely zero bad things can be said here. Perfect color, clarity, light, exposure, microphone. And albeit a slight refocus, things are close to the flagship level. This is 4K, people. Once again, 4K for a $400 phone, not bad. And we also tried out the 60 frame per second one. This is a bit underwhelming. Frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if the 60 frames per second video would be taken with a wide angle camera. I've seen something similar on the LG G6, it was underwhelming, and it's probably the same case here. Things are unexplainably underwhelming compared to the other videos. So Full HD 60 frames per second, more underwhelming than the rest. Okay, so let's go further. We also took a slow-mo video here somewhere, which is actually kind of nice, although not exactly detailed. So I'm guessing, nope, this is actually the one where I was moving. So quite nice stabilization. I'm actually impressed by it. It's not OIS, it's EIS, electronic stabilization. Some focus blunders. It lost focus only twice during the 1 minute of filming, but in the end, excellent lighting, colors, what have you. Once again, a nice surprise from this phone. Okay, so we shot that, and we also used the front camera to see if the phone is any good for video blogging purposes. Not that bad. I'm more happy with the face and color texture here than in the selfies, but the background is a bit burned behind me. Stabilization is okay yet again, not as good as the back camera, but pretty okay. Once again, I have that feeling, the feeling that it can fight a Sony Xperia XA2 and XA2 Ultra with ease. And once again, you can easily compare it with the Samsung Galaxy A8 2018 minus the refocus and some burns. It's way above the Motorola Moto G5S, G5S Plus, and basically any Moto G phone. I would even go as far as to say it can beat the newly announced G6, even though I haven't even tested those yet. Okay, so these were daytime videos. Let's see if the experience is any different during the nighttime. Usually it's the weak point of a phone, and this also repeats here. So during the nighttime, things were shaky. Halos are big. Things are too yellow. There's flicker. The zoom was pretty okay, and halos are once again a bit too big for their own good. If you're not moving around, if you're just spanning and sitting, you should be okay. But if you're moving in the slightest, there's flickering and there are some annoying artifacts here. The zoom is once again pretty okay. It films much like the Motorola Moto G5S during the nighttime. We're done with the camera, an overall pleasant surprise which can take on the heavy hitters, the Xperias and Galaxy A8s. And now it's time to address the web browser. The pre-installed one is of course Chrome, good old Chrome. Let's access gsn.com, see how it loads. We have a new theme for many months now. It's working faster than before. Okay, so smooth scrolling. The benchmarks are rather poor, to be honest. Sun, Spider, Velamo in the works, and the keyboard supports swipe. It's stock and it's reasonably comfy. On the connectivity side of things, we're dealing with a dual SIM phone or a single SIM in some countries. It's got nano SIM card slots. It's got 4G LTE category 11. It's got Wi-Fi A, B, G, and AC, USB Type-C port at the bottom, audio jack here. There's Bluetooth 4.2 and it actually evolved to Bluetooth 5.0 once you got the Oreo update. There are 3 microphones, NFC, GPS, Galileo and GLONASS, and the calls were totally loud and clear as expected from the inventor of the cell phone, which is Motorola. Frankly speaking, I felt that sometimes the ringtone was a bit too loud. That would be my only objection. And we also have pretty good noise cancelling. Okay, so now it's time to go to the speed test. We did that. We achieved 91 megapsecond downloads on 4G, 64 megapsecond uploads on Wi-Fi, 257 over 23.2 megapsecond. So things are solid overall. Time to talk about the software experience. So initially the phone was launched with Nougat, Android Nougat, and right now it's running on, let's see, Android 8.0.0 Oreo, so it got updated. Everything is stock, vanilla, pure Android. The leftmost home screen is dedicated to Google, the weather, the news, what have you. And then, let's see, multitasking is done like this via carousel. You can also go with a split screen, so I can keep browsing a website and also at the same time maybe browse around the settings or watch a video while once again we're browsing, so multitasking happens like this also. Moving further from that, the drop down portion is stock. There's here the notifications, the quick settings, pretty clear and well spaced. And if you keep the home screen pressed, you'll trigger the obvious wallpapers, widgets and settings. Widgets are these ones, obviously stock and typical for Android, and some related to slides, sheets to increase productivity and so forth. Now in the settings area, we try to find anything special. Well, nothing special here. Everything is stock yet again. So connectivity, apps, notifications, battery, display, sound, storage, and finally, security. We got this fingerprint sensor here below the screen, and I'm going to put it to the test. So I'm going to register my print. I'm going to secure it with a pin. Okay. And there are 12 steps required to input my print here. It worked pretty fast, and let's see just how snappy and efficient it is. So put my finger here. It was a bit shy at first, 90 degrees and 180 degrees as we usually do. And let's try it again, really fast this time. Pretty reasonable speed, not exactly flagship level, but still there. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, security, location, there's spray protect, there's smart lock, which offers you, okay, on body detection, trusted places, trusted devices, trusted face, and voice match to properly unlock your device in a secure mode. Okay, so now as far as the pre-installed applications are concerned, we got those ones here. I actually counted them all, and there's 31 of them, most of them stock. There is the Chrome, Contacts, Docs, Drive. There's also Duo, there's Files, there's Gmail obviously, there's Maps, and also Phone, play games, play music, photos, play games, you have to install it, Sheets, Translate, Wallpapers, and YouTube. But there's also Moto with quite a few useful suggestions, so you can make your commute easier, plenty of storage, and the features. Here we have the Moto Key. It allows you to access sites and apps by using the fingerprint scanner. You can look for this icon and start, so you can replace your passwords with that. Then there's also, let's see, Moto Actions with a lot of gestures. There's quick screenshot, one button nav, so you can actually use the sensor here for easier navigation with a swipe right or left to go to the menus. Chopping, twisting, swiping. You can even go with a one-handed use like this. Decrease the screen diagonal, so to say, with a one-hand use. And Moto Display for more discrete notifications. with reducing the blue light to not impact sleep, and Moto Voice for your commands. Okay, so that's about it as far as the device is concerned, and we also have a sort of always on feature, or let's call it glance. So you move the phone just a bit and it shows you this, shows you notifications, info, and that circle with the date and time. Now we're at the end of the review for this beautiful mid-range Motorola phone. So the Moto X4, quite good looking. On the pro side, we got the looks, we got the fact that the phone is pretty in blue, pretty okay screen brightness, and okay acoustic volume, I have to say. Performance was also pretty good by my books, and the battery was quite reasonable. And then I would have to say that the charging was actually a surprise, one of the best chargings I've seen in a long while. Surprisingly good camera, once again a surprise, especially in departments like clarity, like colors and details. And also the videos, not bad, electronic stabilization. Stock Android, quickly updated from Nougat to Oreo, is a plus, and that's about it in the pros area. In the cons, it's a bit of a wide phone, a bit of a slippery phone, and also we have annoying black edges around the image when you're watching a video or playing a game. You can see those annoying black edges. Other than that, I have to say that the headphones were a bit underwhelming, too few equalizer options, poor bokeh capture, the selfie details could have been a bit better, and the low light video is once again a bit underwhelming. And the wide-angle camera feels like an extra, an afterthought, rather than something that was inputted from the start. Some dynamic range problem for the video, and I would say that's about it for the Moto X4. For me, this is the best Motorola mid-range phone over the past year. There were moments when I found it superior to the Motorola Moto Z2 Play, and I'm not saying that lightly. It can even go to battle with the Sony Xperia X8 II, the Samsung Galaxy A8 2018, which is, by the way, pricier by quite a few dollars, actually dozens of dollars. And in the end, it's no champion, but it also does not have any deal breaker, which is something important nowadays. It beats all the Motorola Moto M, Moto G, and some Moto Z Play phones. So it's surely a smart buy nowadays, especially since the price should be decreasing once a successor comes along. If it comes, it may be a one-off thing for Motorola. In the end, a well-done phone, and maybe next time ditch the wide-angle camera or replace it with something else, maybe an extra telephoto, who knows. So best mid-ranger so far from Motorola at gsmrom.com. Bye bye.